Today, we're going to talk about hair loss and a very common factor that seems to be at the bottom of just about every different type of hair loss. Now, I'm talking about several different types of stress. The most damaging stress to your hair is emotional loss, okay? Like a loss of a loved one, a divorce can be devastating to your adrenals. So you have that. But you also have other types of stress, like sustained chronic stress for some reason. You have environmental stresses. You have stresses in the world that are affecting you. You have family stresses, relationship stresses. You have stress from overtraining while you're exercising. You have stress going through pregnancy. You have stress while you're going through some viral infection. You can also be very stressed out if your sleep is not good, because the lack of sleep can really put your body under stress. So there's many, many different types of stresses. But what's interesting about stress that affects your hair is that it's nearly always delayed. Now, normally when you have a physical problem of some sort, but the problem with hair loss is there's usually a delay between 1, 2, and even 3 months before the time of stress and the time you start noticing your hair is falling out. And this is why it's very difficult to connect the dots. So let's go through this. There's one type of hair loss called telogen effluvium. Now, this is a type of hair loss that's definitely triggered by some big stress. And this includes trauma, going through a surgery, and many other different types of stress, even being on certain medications. Now, let's talk about the next one called alopecia areata. Now, this is an autoimmune condition, right? But the question is, what triggers autoimmune conditions? Well, you guessed it, the same stresses that I'm talking about. Now, another medication they use for this alopecia areata is called, I think it's pronounced Olument. And despite having this box warning of these, slight side effects like malignancy, serious infection, increased mortality, and thrombosis leading to a cardiac death, other than that, it's pretty safe. But again, these medications designed to suppress your immune system come with a package. Now, let's cover another hair loss condition called androgenetic alopecia. This is where you have that testosterone turning into the very powerful form of testosterone called DHT, which burns out the hair follicles. It just so happens that stress can also worsen the situation and create more of this conversion. But I will say that there is a genetic component to this type of problem because it involves pattern hair loss, both in women and men. And of course, reducing stress is a big, big factor. For example, if you dip yourself into an ice bath, you are in control of that stress, and it's very, very therapeutic. Another condition is prolonged fasting, where you're in control, right? But the stresses where you're seeming to be out of control is where we have problems. So androgenetic alopecia can be greatly improved if you deal with your stress. Now, this condition is also triggered by insulin resistance, okay? So I just wanted to add that. Now, as far as a nutritional deficiency causation, you have several nutrients involved. You have a deficiency of zinc, deficiency of vitamin D. You also have a deficient amount of B vitamins, as well as calcium. And every single one of those nutrients are affected by stress. So stress can also cause a deficiency of those nutrients and an increased demand of those nutrients. So now, as you can see, if you have hair loss, you must address stress to allow other things to work. So how do we do that? Let's go through a few things. Number one, you want to make sure your sleep cycles are handled, because if you're going through stress but you're not sleeping, it's going to be very difficult to overcome that stress. One thing that I'm doing right now that seems to be working very, very well, and I'll have to do more of a video about it, is that the type of exercise that I'm doing is very, very intense, but very low stress on my adrenals, okay? Involving a weight rack and cables. I'm using that right now. And I'm doing low reps, high weight. It's from the concept that Mike Metzer talks about, and I'll put a video down below to help you understand what that's all about. But you're really doing a high amount of weight, so you will not be able to push past, like 10 reps. So you're stacking a certain amount of weight. So you're doing between 6 to 10 reps, okay, to failure. So you're just destroying that muscle, creating a lot of damage, requiring about a week to 2 weeks of rest. But I'm only doing 1 to 2 large muscles per workout. So I might do chest and triceps in one workout, and then I'll do back and biceps in another workout. And then the third workout, I'll do legs the next day. But I won't touch those muscles for another week. But it gives my body a chance to rest. It doesn't overtrain anything, and it seems to greatly improve my sleep. Next thing I'm going to recommend is physical work around your house, outside if you can. That always helps sleep because it gets your mind off the mental stress. The third point I want to bring up is that stress is always a symptom of something else. So yes, you need to deal with the stress, but you really need to isolate what the stress is and do whatever you can to fully resolve the cause of that stress. Number 4, keto and intermittent fasting will improve your adrenals. They will improve the sympathetic nervous system, the flight or fight mechanism, and that by itself can greatly reduce stress. And the last thing is B1, vitamin B1, make sure it's natural because the synthetics don't give you the same effect. So I think these 5 things will help you more than anything for your hair loss.